Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, good very early morning, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to the closing plenary and awards ceremony of the conference. We've been talking for almost 9 days now about evidence for development. What works? That was the title of our conference. I think we've discovered collectively, while touching a lot of grounds across sectors, across countries, that we're really sort of moving the frontier and the discussion around what works to a more nuanced, as was mentioned even yesterday in one of the sessions, a more nuanced what works better, in what context, are there better ways to make it work? Cheaper? How does it work? And what are the strategy implications, therefore? So I think the whole frontier of the conversation is shifting. We've also had very in-depth discussions around various methods, both for generating evidence and synthesizing it, and about getting much more creative, entrepreneurial, and determined in how we put the evidence to use and communicate it to a wide range of stakeholders. And of course, all of those are very critical points, especially in the times that we're living right now. So we started on this note in the opening plenary, and I think we kind of followed it throughout. We had over 1,400 people that registered for the conference. In the end, 968 actually joined. So we had 968 participants. Of course, we are in a virtual format, and we were not able to do this face-to-face, unfortunately. We do hope to be able to do that again soon. But these 968 people from 105 countries that participated in the conference, that the Global Development Network and the Campbell collaboration co-organized and co-hosted, really participated very actively, not just by sharing their presentations and thoughts and ideas in the panels, but on their work, showcasing their work, but also very, very active debates in the chat and the Q&A, which again, sometimes a virtual format actually allows for even more than in person, because some of the debate happens while somebody else may be presenting still. So we had almost 1,500 total comments written in the chat, and of course, answers from people. We also had expo area, and almost 300 people visited the expo area and the various booths there. And more than 200 people also took advantage of the networking opportunity that this platform made available. So I do hope that some of you have made new connections or have reconnected with peers and colleagues that you haven't perhaps seen in a while. And in terms of key takeaways and messages that we've heard from the conference, I'd like to now turn to Howard White and Pierre, Jacques, the Executive Director of Campbell Collaboration and the President of GDN, respectively. So Howard, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Ramona. Apologies to everyone that my camera decided to stop working. It was working in the first session this morning and then stopped halfway through. I'm trying to reset it now. But I assure you I'm wearing a very nice jacket. Okay, so this is the closing session. And I think in terms of the order, I'm going to speak for a bit, then Pierre will speak, then we've got some prizes to do. I will be giving some from the conference, and I think someone from GGN side will be doing the GGN Awards. So just to looking back, the sort of good and bad and the ugly of the conference. So as a brief anecdote, we had a speaker in an event a couple of weeks ago, Arsenio Balisacan, who's now the chair of the competition authority in the Philippines, but was at the time I first met him, the secretary of the National Economic Development Agency, NEDA. And we'd started a program of grants, Philippines policy window, where we're funding a series of impact evaluations. And we had a a national committee chaired by RC. If you work in the Philippines, you get used to these unusual certain nicknames they use. So RC used to chair the national steering committee we had for the grants we were doing with 3IE, and because he's a very busy person, we had to keep rescheduling the meetings. And the project was funded by the Australians, and they told me, we're having this next meeting. We want you to formally complain about the fact it's difficult to get these meetings. We have to keep rescheduling the meetings. And the day of the meeting, we got a message that RC couldn't attend because he's been called to see the president, and instead his deputy Rowley, who was the head of monitoring evaluation, would chair the meeting. So we started the meeting, and so I had to start by saying, Rowley, I'm happy to see you here. I do have to complain that this frequent resetting of the meetings, rescheduling the meetings, changing at the last minute is not acceptable. And he said, you want to complain? I want to complain. I'm meant to be on a plane to Thailand right now, and I was told I had to come to this meeting instead. And so during the course of this conference, many people have complained to us about the hop-in platform. And my response is the same as Rowley's. You want to complain, we want to complain. Okay, because we spent a lot of money on this platform, and we've found numerous deficiencies, indeed, including you can't see me now, with the platform all the way through. So we do apologize greatly for the deficiencies in the platform, which we really did look around in the market to see what would be the best platform for an event like this. And it has a lot of functionalities to make it like a real life conference, but real life conferences have problems, and this has problems. So we do apologize for that. But let's turn to the good. What are the main takeaways? So again, actually, the bad and the good. So one thing that's frustrated me, to be honest, has been the extent to which some people still seem to be living in the past. And one speaker said, it was in one of the donor sessions, I think maybe Norma from Hewlett, that the conversations we're having now are not conversations we'd be having 10 years ago, because they're much more engaged around knowledge brokering. And it's true that there has been a big increase in awareness of knowledge brokering and approaches knowledge brokering, and a much more sophistication around how we do knowledge brokering and get knowledge into use. And Campbell's part of that. We have various ways of doing that. We presented our Wikipedia project. We presented the various ways we work with user commissioners and the work centers and so on. But at the same time, there were many speakers who seemed totally unaware of these developments. And people still say things like, oh, publishing a paper is not enough to have policy influence, as if no one knows that. No one's learned that in the last 10 years. And if people are familiar with my 4 waves of the evidence revolution paper, is the 4th wave is knowledge brokering. And it's really gained pace in the last 5-6 years, and huge developments been made at getting research evidence into use. And so it's been a bit frustrating that some people have been less aware of these developments, and hopefully this conference has helped them become aware of them, because it really has been the case that whilst many events in the past have wanted to put effective communication and so on into the agenda, most of the sessions actually are just presentation of research findings, and that really has not been the case here. Really, this conference has had a lot of presentations about different approaches to knowledge brokering, and I think that's a very positive aspect. But the other positive aspect to me is what I mentioned in my opening remarks. I will end in with my closing remarks, which is that, to me, the real strength of this conference, the real reason why I thought Evidence for Development was such an important event, was its evidence for development primarily by developing country researchers. And we made that focus that only developing country researchers could actually apply to present single presentations. Developed country researchers had to apply for panels only and had to pay for them to help us bear the conference expenses. But so we really wanted to focus on developing country researchers, and they've delivered in spades. We've had extremely high quality presentations from developing country researchers across the board, both researchers I was aware of and knew were coming and looking forward to, and been very impressed by the presentations, including Campbell South Asia, of course, but we had a very interesting session with technical problems, but the session itself is interesting, from Lanza University yesterday. It's been really good at the quality of the developing country presentations that we've seen at this research. And I think for both GGN and for my own personal mission and Campbell's mission in working with developing country researchers to collaborate on research and evidence synthesis, that's been really, really promising and really rewarding to see that. So I hope very strongly that we'll continue to collaborate from Campbell with GGN in this shared vision we have of developing country research done by developing country researchers to inform developing country policy. That was my vision at 3IE, it's my vision at Campbell, it's GGN's vision, and I hope we've really seen that come to fruition in the conference this year, and I hope it will go from strength to strength from here. So thank you. Over to you, Pierre.
Thank you, Howard, and thank you for these remarks, which I fully share, although instead of seeing the glass half empty, as you started basically saying, I would tend to see it as half full and be full of optimism about the future after this conference. I want to thank the organizing teams, the founders, and all the plenary and parallel session speakers for, I think, a very productive and inspiring 10 days of interaction. I will simply highlight here 3 of my own personal takeaways. First is that this theme of evidence for development has at last become very salient. It seems to have become a unifying theme for development efforts and a shared concern for both North and South. So we had many donors on stage who have mainstreamed evidence in their own work. We were told, for example, about the way IDRC approaches research quality in their RQ plus approach, how USAID focuses on the users of evaluations, how the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation develops an evidence-based portfolio management system, how the Hewlett Foundation focuses on the use of evidence in policy, how the AFD uses evidence at all stages of the project cycle, how the EU increasingly calls on partnerships, notably with academia, to promote the production and use of evidence, how CAF in Latin America supports capacity building to produce, understand, interpret, and use evidence, and many other testimonies. And in the donors' various messages, it appears that evidence for development does cover 2 different dimensions: an internal one that helps donors improve their own internal decision processes and the quality of their project cycles, and an external one which reflects how these efforts translate into better lives for poor people and better development policies. So more broadly, the focus on evidence for development, well understood and implemented, can be a powerful way to reconcile mutual accountability, concern about impact, and ownership. Now, of course, and that's where the glass half empty or half full picture comes in, the conference also highlighted several hurdles, and some of these hurdles have been known for a long time, but the fact that there seems to be a coalescence of minds around the hurdles, I think it's a good sign, because identifying and understanding them is an important first step in addressing them effectively. So first is about the definition of evidence itself. It is more than results. It is more than academic papers, as you said, Howard. It is more than what works, which is the subtitles of this summit. It also touches on why and how actions work or not. And as one of the panelists said, what works better. It is therefore more about a dynamic, contextualized explanation and pursuit of results than about results themselves. It invites thinking hard on both the production of relevant knowledge and on its use in debates, policy makings, and decisions. Let me mention that this is why GDN a few years ago started to develop its Doing Research program, a program that analyzes developing country social science research systems that was featured in one of the conference panels funded by IDRC. The second hurdle is about the use of evidence. which has been recognized as receiving less focus than the production of evidence, though this may be changing, and there were very positive signs in the conference. And the COVID-19 pandemics demonstrated again, if that was needed, that we certainly cannot take the use of scientific evidence for granted anywhere. The use of evidence requires a number of conditions formulated in various ways during the conference, but which I believe one might summarize with a triptych once recommended in a study from the Kennedy School faculty in 2002, so a long time ago. Salience, credibility, legitimacy. All imply scientific rigor, understanding of the context and the local political economy, and interpreted locally relevance. Their combination addresses the potential tension between the world of academic research, which holds a monopoly of scientific credibility, and the world of politics and practitioners, which has to face day-to-day operational constraints and to transform them into results, and that conditions legitimacy and salience. Now, there have been also important discussions about the responsibilities of stakeholders in these two worlds of academia and policymaking and practitioner. Researchers were invited to adapt their language, to care more for other stakeholders' concerns, to find better ways to understand and address their interests. Practitioners were invited to focus more on the rigor of impact measurements. From that broad discussions, I would like to insist on three takeaways. First, the imperative of strengthening capacity. For researchers actually across the world, but certainly in priority in developing countries. Despite considerable efforts to build that capacity, a lot remains to be done. It was mentioned time and again in this conference that research on development is overwhelmingly conducted in developed countries, that developing country researchers face insurmountable barriers of entry, and that capacity building too often comes as a second objective behind that of fostering research themes, approaches, and fads that fit developed countries' own interests and priorities. Second, the exclusive definition of academic quality crowds out potentially useful and rigorous research work conducted in developing countries. And that is because instead of defining criteria for academic rigor, the current test of academic quality is the possibility to publish in the best scientific journals. This gives a premium to technical innovation as opposed to using available scientific methods and instruments in a rigorous way to produce relevant work. It also eliminates themes that could be essential for developing countries, but that are not in the editorial priorities of the journals. And finally, it penalizes and excludes serious, rigorous researchers who have not yet developed their capacity at the technological frontier, or, as importantly, it excludes innovative researchers who do not fit in the mold. And finally, third hurdle there, the organization of academic work through disciplinary-based silos, while the kind of evidence that is needed cuts across disciplines. And yet, the way research quality is understood and measured does not incentivize collaborative work across disciplines. It is crucial to find ways to promote high-quality, interdisciplinary work that meets the best standards of rigor. My third and final set of takeaways is about what we perceive at GDN, and I think that we share there what Howard said for the Campbell collaboration, an impressive alignment between what we heard at the conference and our own mission at GDN, our programs, and our operational culture. GDN is an enabler and a facilitator. It identifies and mobilizes developing country talents and competences. It helps them grow over time and develop. It connects and exposes them globally. It connects them with policymakers through interactive labs and meetings. It helps translate research-based products into useful insights. This is what is involved in evidence production and use for development. And our own experience and programs, as demonstrated in this conference by the Global Development Awards funded by the Japanese government, as well as a video competition on development transitions funded by the French Development Agency, there is a lot of developing country talent to identify, support, and promote. We come out very encouraged by what we heard, and we hope that this conference will be a meaningful step in strengthening what already appears as a very lively global community of like-minded institutions aiming to promote the use of evidence for development. And I'm very happy that we could join forces, Howard, with the Campbell collaboration, and I also look forward to pursuing that effort worldwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pierre. And indeed, I think this was one of the nice features of the conference, in fact, for GDN and the Campbell collaboration to bring their two communities of practice, their two networks together. And there was a lot of scope for cross-learning, therefore. Let me now turn to the awards part of the session, and I'm going to give Howard a little bit more time, and maybe his camera will also start working in the meantime so we can see his nice jacket. So let me turn to Francesco first, if that is okay. Francesco Albino is the head of programs at the Global Development Network. You would have seen him in several of the sessions here at the conference. We ran the Global Development Awards competition, as we generally do, in the lead up to the conference, and of course the finalists presented during the conference. Maybe you have seen some of them in the various sessions, and the jury meetings were happening in the background, and we did have the announcement of the winners yesterday in a dedicated session, but we thought it would be nice to share them today as well with all of you. And afterwards, the competition on videos on transition that Pierre just mentioned, but I'll come back to that in a minute. So let's hear about the awards winners. There was a lot of anticipation and a lot of excitement around it. So let's see who the winners are. Francesco?
Thank you. Thank you, Ramona. Thanks. And you said well, of course, it's customary for GDN to combine the finals of the Global Development Awards with the annual conference. And this is what we did this year as well. Just a few key information about this edition of the awards and the awards program in general. So we mentioned it's customary and tradition because this is the longest standing program of the Global Development Network. It has been running since 2000 and has been funded generously by the Ministry of Finance of the government of Japan through the PHLD Trust Fund at the World Bank since its first edition. We're very proud of this edition, not only because between last year and this year we managed to move the whole competition process online, which was not obvious, but also because we ran this year four different calls in parallel across two categories. This competition is very unique in that it includes two different categories, which are different and very complementary, as we mentioned yesterday in a dedicated panel with the government of Japan, the World Bank, and past winners and the SEERS winners. So the two categories are the Outstanding Research on Development Award, or the that is a research award. So with this award, we really recognize highly promising research proposals on salient development issues. The second category is the Most Innovative Development Project, or MIDP award, which is unique because, for GDN at least, because it goes to NGOs and not researchers. So we identify and award NGOs that have designed extremely innovative projects to address the needs of the most vulnerable people across the global south. This year we had 101 eligible applications come in from as many as 37 countries, and we ran for the last months, also thanks of course to the team, a selection process which is quite articulate, has 4 steps that go from eligibility to, of course, the public session at the conference, where finalists, 3 finalists per call across the 2 categories have presented the project to a high-level jury. I would like to thank again, of course, all the jurors and all the many reviewers involved in this articulate and long process who have given the time to the competition. We have 12 winners, and I'm just reminding everyone of the winners because, of course, we announced them yesterday with the government of Japan and the World Bank. But I would like to emphasize that these are awards, but they're truly grants. So the work starts here for the winners. They receive a grant. Grants of different scale in terms of monetary price, and they will be implementing these grants in the next 1 or 2 years, depending on the categories, with not only financial support but also grant management support from GSBN, and with technical and scientific support from advisors that we help find and pair with the winners. So let's go and have an overview of the winners. So for the ORD, so the research category of the competition, this year we were calling for projects that could illuminate the interlinkages between, or the interplay between international trade and the promotion of biodiversity conservation. The first prize, $30,000, went to Abdullah Abdullah for a project on agricultural investment and biodiversity in Ghana. The second prize for $10,000 went to Roger Merino for a very interesting project on reforming governance of the Amazon, and Roger is working out of Peru. The third prize of $5,000 went to Chihuahua Onyekwena, who's looking at the potential future impact on biodiversity of the free trade agreement that is being negotiated now across Africa, and he works in Nigeria. So congratulations again to Abdul, Roger, and Chihuahua on behalf of GDN again, and the juries. In the implementation categories, we had 3 calls, as I mentioned. The first one was focusing on universal health access and COVID-19. In the implementation category, we have 2 first prize winners that get $20,000 each for a first implementation project period of 12 months, that then gives them access to a much larger scale-up fund of $200,000. The projects that will receive the first prize and that will be competing next year for the scale-up grant are Kids Home Development Network Foundation, that presented a project on healthcare for migrant families in the Thai construction site, in Thai construction site camps, and the project Hello Sati by Uninhibited India, that looks at access of girls and women to sexual health across India and possibly South Asia. The second prize instead of $5,000 went to United Way of Mumbai for a project, for a hospital-based intervention that tries to tackle infection prevention and control mechanisms for infection prevention in public hospitals through behavioral change programs and trainings. The second category of the MIDP, so the second call of the MIDP, was focusing on quality urban infrastructure and community-driven governance. And the first 2 prize winners, the 2 first prize winners are Balraksha Bharat from India for the Dream Accelerator project that works with youth in communities to identify development interventions and develop approaches to tackle specific issues, putting children and young adults at the center of the work. And for the project A Water Kiosk at School in Kenya by the International Transformation Foundation, that proposes to community management of water resources at the village level. The second prize instead of $5,000 goes to Clean Up Nepal and a project on circular economy and digital waste management systems in Kathmandu. So congratulations again to all the winners. The final call was, of course, last but not least, the one on community-driven climate-related disaster risk reduction in rural areas. The first prize went to International Aid Services Kenya for a project that looks at capacity building of local communities against climate change and improve livelihoods, and to the Confederation of Indian Industry Foundation for a project on air pollution and the management of crop residue. Second prize, 5,000, instead went to Dufatani organization in Rwanda that works at the village level, what they call the Villages of Hope project to improve livelihoods in the face of climate change. I'd like to, this is it for the winners. Again, congratulations, very warm congratulations to all the winners again. And I would like to invite everyone in the audience to just, follow the winners and their implementation through the new platform that we launched yesterday, that gives you more information about the projects and allows you also to contact, of course, these teams if you wish to. The link to the platform, of course, is on screen. Please come visit us and follow the implementation. Thank you, Romana.
Thank you, Francesco. I did allude to, and again, congratulations to all the winners, and we look forward to how your projects will turn out and coming back and sharing results with us. The second competition that we alluded to was very different in nature, so not research and not innovative development projects, but videos. Videos on transitions, various aspects of transitions. And we launched this in partnership with the French Development Agency, with AFD. We ran it over the course of the last 6 months or so. It was, again, global, open in both English and French. And you can see the videos of the finalists in one of the booths in the expo area. Oh, sorry?
Don't say it all.
No. In the expo area of the conference and on the GDN website, if you haven't seen them and if you're curious. And again, that competition culminated here at the conference, and Francesco will let us know who the winner is. Ta-da! Drum roll.
Yes, a little bit more suspense here because these are results that we haven't announced yet, and I see a lot of the finalists in the audience today. So as Ramona said, this is a joint collaboration between the French Development Agency, AFD, and GDN. We launched a call in April, and from again a multi-step process for which the entrants receive feedback and capacity building to work on their submission. We asked social scientists below 40 from both developing and transitioning countries to talk about the development transition they are currently working on, using research to bring into public debate quality and up-to-date knowledge on what are the big transitions that will shape the next decade. We asked them to self-produce the videos, of course. And the final step of the selection process, of course, was at the conference. We showed the video. Videos were on display in the booth, and they're still in the booth, as Ramona said. And the jury, a 4-people jury, including Pierre, Jacques, Fanny Leautier, who was the chair, Thomas Melugno from the AFD, and Hebe Vesuri identified the winners. And then here we announced the winners. The first prize of these awards for 3,000 euros goes to Alidou Alassane Ado from the University Abdou Moumouni of Niamey in Niger for the video titled Inondation par la hausse des nappes phréatiques dans la ville de Niamey, amélioration des connaissances. So a very interesting video that shows how cities in the Sahel region like Niamey are actually suffering from rising groundwater as opposed to the scarcity of water. So very, very interesting video. I invite all of you to look at it. Many congratulations, Alidou. The second prize winners goes to Corina Murafa. Was based at Ashoka, Romania, for the videos. The video title, Just Energy Transition in Romania, How to Avoid Hitting the Target but Missing the Point. And again, excellent presentation of energy transitions and what we can learn from the experience of a country like Romania. They used to have a lot of energy for a long time, and how we're dealing with it now. The third prize, ex aequo, goes to two videos, both on health and global health. The first one is by Lina Martinez and her team at the Universidad ICESI in Cali, in Colombia, in the city of Cali, in Colombia, for the video title, Mental Health and Subjective Wellbeing in Colombia. And the other third prize winner is Vinaya Chaliza, who's a Nepalese scholar currently at the Graduate School of International Development and Cooperation at Hiroshima University in Japan, who submitted a video titled Disease Transition in the Global South. So congratulations, Alidou, Corina, Lina, and Vinaya. I'd like to invite everyone to log onto the GDM website and the AFD website to watch this very good videos. So congratulations.
Congratulations again to all, and thank you very much, Francesco. Let me now turn over to Howard for the next set of prizes, mainly in relation to this conference itself. So Howard, you have the floor. We still can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I know, Ramona. Sorry, I did try joining via the phone instead, but Hopin put lots of barriers in the way, so I just came back here. Anyway, so apologies for the camera problem. So yes, we have got prizes for the conference. I'll explain the voting, how we just decide them in a moment. So the first one I'm going to do is Twitter, and there we have two prizes. Prizes are the honor and reputation that you get, that you can add to your CV, and your colleagues and everything will be very impressed to win this prize. There's no actual prize. Okay, we're not giving $30,000 to anyone like TGN just did. So don't get too excited, but it's still nice to get the prize. So the first prizes we give are related to Twitter, and we have two prizes. One is the most retweeted tweet, and one is the most prolific tweeter. For the most prolific tweeter, we don't allow the institutional accounts of Campbell or GGN to be eligible because that's their job. If they weren't tweeting, then you'll just sack them, not give them a prize. So the most prolific tweeter is Sabina Singh from Campbell, South Asia. So Sabina's been very assiduous in tweeting throughout the event with some very nice tweets and retweets. So congratulations, Sabina, as the most retweeted tweeter. She was in another meeting I was in, but hopefully has come here by now. Then we have the most retweeted tweet, and for that I decided to lift the embargo on institutional accounts. And so the award for that goes to the Campbell Collaboration account run by Tricia Yong. So congratulations, Tricia, for her work in promoting the event through lots of tweets and retweets over the last 10 days. So you can now tweet, but you just won an award for tweeting. Someone will retweet it. Okay, the next we'll move on to the posters. So the posters remain up for some time, and I think actually get moved into our YouTube channel. I think the posters from last year are still in the Campbell YouTube channel. So if you haven't gone to see the posters, do go and see them, because they really are some interesting posters. And I'm going to tell you what the winners are without telling you what their posters are. So you at least want to know what were those winning posters. So go and have a look at the winning posters. And so the two winners, two people tied for the winning position. And so actually, I don't even have the institutional affiliation. I was looking it up. 1 second. Okay, so I'm just going to give you the names. So one is okay, 1 second, please. Sorry, can't move my writing. Yep, got it right. So the two winners are Manisha Narayan from I don't know, the Campbell, South Asia, and second winner is Laura Kojo Karu. And so congratulations to Manisha and Laura for the best posters. That's based on votes given by people during the last 10 days. We've had been able to go and vote for best posters. So Manisha and Laura got the most votes as best posters. Finally, we come to the awards for the best panels and best speakers. Now, this is meant to be based on a voting form that we put out just only this morning, and I hope everyone would then go and vote for their favorite panels and panelists. For those familiar with the film Pirates of the Caribbean, I think the second one, there's a scene where they want to vote for the Pirate King, but every pirate always just votes for him or herself, so no one ever wins. And we seem to be in that situation. So every session has one vote. So everyone just voted for themselves. So we've looked at the metrics we have from Hopin. It's useful for some things, and we're going by the panel sessions, not counting plenaries, because plenaries do well anyway. The panel sessions, which had were most active in terms of the chatter they were getting in the chat box. I'm pleased to say these are 3 panels. We're giving 3 winners. 3 panels, all from developing country organisations associated with GGN and Campbell in one way or another. And one was session 8.1. I can't do my writing again. Rebuilding after the impact of COVID by the East Asia Research Network, which is one of GGN partners, I believe. So congratulations to East Asia Research Network for winning one of the best panels. The second one. Okay, I'm going to do the next one next and look up the second one. A moment, please. Sorry. The second one, no, wrong one. Okay, that's that one. Apologies. Oh, I know the one this is. The second one was one of our first sessions. Was the so I'm good up. Was the session by PEP, which the Partnership for Economic Policy, on increasing Southern voice on development debates, which of course was a key theme for this conference. We had a plenary session on that, and PEP put in a panel on that session, and that was also one of the winning sessions. And finally, there was a session which was held yesterday, which was review of health systems evidence by Landry University, where we have the Centre for Evidence-Based Social Sciences, who are one of Campbell's close partners and collaborators. That also got a lot of chat going on in the chat box. And so the 3 sessions, I'll try now say in a more consistent manner, as the 3 most engaged panels that got most engagement by their audience were the increasing Southern voice in development debates, from PEP, the rebuilding after the impacts of COVID from the East Asian Research Network, and reviews of health systems evidence from the Centre for Evidence-Based Social Sciences in Landry University. So please join me in congratulating those 3 developing country-based research centres for putting on panels that engage their audiences. And that's it for the awards for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Was there another award you wanted to give?
No, sorry. So I want to mention, so we had planned to do the Campbell Awards at this event. We did announce earlier on that we weren't going to do them because we don't actually have all the prize winners lined up yet. We have got one more lined up. It's only 2 out of 4. So we have 2 out of 4 prize winners. So we're having a separate Campbell event for Campbell people. Everyone is welcome in early December. And we'll be making our awards for the 4 Campbell prizes, equivalent to the GGM prizes with a little plaque instead of the money in early December.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. All right, so we do have hopefully some excited people in the audience. It would be very nice to see the excitement. That's one of the things I love the most about these closing plenaries and awards ceremonies normally. Going back to the good and the bad of this conference and the platform itself, I wanted to go back to just a couple of things. Again, crunching numbers here. But on the positive side, I tend to be an optimist. So on the positive side, apart from the very large number of countries that were represented, as I mentioned, more than 105 to be precise, and the large number of panels and speakers from developing countries, There's another metric that we generally keep an eye on, and one that I'm very, very happy to report that we did very well on in this conference, namely the gender ratio among the speakers, not just the participants. And it was 53% in favor of women. So we actually had, for once, more female speakers than men. This is across plenaries and parallel sessions. So again, congratulations to all, and thank you very much to all the session organizers as well, who have made this one of the goals and were determined in making this a much more inclusive, representative, and equitable conversation and debate. Of course, to all the women who submitted individual presentations as well, and therefore, through the selection process, made it into the sessions. So that is one that I walk away happy about. The other one is an average attendee score for the conference. So despite technical glitches and problems, we did manage to get an 8.9 average attendee score. Not quite sure exactly what, it's not detailed in terms of what it is, but it's something that the Hopin platform has given us. So it's an 8.9 out of 10. I should specify that as well. And just based on the evaluation form that we put out, in terms of reasons, primary reasons for attending the conference, majority of the people were interested in attending in order to gain more subject matter expertise, followed by the attraction of the program itself and the profiles of the speakers, and finally the chance to network with other participants. In that order, I do hope that we have managed to fulfill those expectations and allow for those opportunities. Now, before formally closing the conference, let me mention a few next steps and then a round of thanks. We will still have the session recordings available. People have been writing in and asking us about it because either they missed the session, which may have happened in the middle of their night, or they were in another session. They will still be there in the recordings tab on Hopin. We will also try and download them and have them, after some editing, available on the GDN YouTube channel, at least for the plenary sessions, certainly, and for as many of the parallel sessions as possible. We won't be able to do a summary of the conference, just like we weren't able to do here in the closing plenary, but we will put out jointly key takeaways. We haven't decided on what format that will take yet, but we will try and communicate more of the key takeaways. Now, it's a lot of substance and a lot of rich discussion, and we don't want to lose that. Finally, again, for those of you active on social media, the evidence for dev hashtag really was booming. Trending is the correct word, excuse me. And there were Twitter moments, which were organized day by day. A Twitter moment is something that basically captures, it's like a paperclip, so it captures the most popular tweets day by day. And not just most popular, but tweets that captured things that people said and that grabbed people's attention. And you can see those literally organized day by day. So it gives you a nice flavor of what was discussed in a particular day of the conference, and anybody can have a look of those. Of course, they're available on Twitter. Just search for this evidence for dev hashtag. Now, finally, the round of thanks. Of course, this would not have been possible without the support of the donors who supported us financially. Even when we don't have to fly people in and book big venues, there are still costs associated with producing a conference such as this. And we are very thankful to the Hewlett Foundation and CAF, the Development Bank of Latin America, for supporting the conference, as well as the American Institutes for Research and the French Development Agency for their support to Campbell and GDN, which again allowed us to plan and coordinate this massive event. Also to the session organizers. And again, not just for funding those respective sessions, but bringing in very, very interesting people around the virtual table and providing a lot of substance therefore. We had a session on research systems that Pierre mentioned, organized by IDRC. One on the importance of evidence in international development cooperation by JICA, the Japanese International Cooperation Agency. A couple of sessions, in fact, and again, funded and organized by DEVAL, the German Development Evaluation Institute, on evidence curation and climate change, and North-South cooperation, evaluating North-South cooperation. One session also jointly co-organized and funded with the Green Climate Fund. We actually had quite a number of sessions on climate change throughout the conference, and a session on improving and enhancing evidence uptake. One on the future of work, which you may have seen last Friday, again with people from across regions, which was organized by CPEC in Argentina, one of the leading think tanks there, and sessions organized by the University of Berkeley, the Center for Effective Global Action, excuse me, several very interesting sessions there on everything from evidence of algorithm-based consumer credit and the evidence on the impacts in emerging markets, as well as cost effectiveness, assessing cost effectiveness, for example, of various interventions. So thank you again to all of these funders for contributing to the conference. And last but not least, a massive thank you to the conference team, both from Campbell and from GDN. They've been at it, not just for the 9 days of the conference, but obviously for many weeks and months before and in the lead up to it. And an absolute marathon in the last, since the 18th of October, so 9 days during the conference itself. A handful of people who are not very large organizations, despite appearances, and they really put their hearts and energy and enthusiasm into making this happen, including dealing with all the technical problems of Hopin, and in making sure that all the speakers and the attendees have that opportunity and the chance to really fully participate, engage, and make the best out of the conference experience. So very, very warm thank you and congratulations. Take a bow. And with that, the conference is formally closed unless Pierre, Francesco, or Howard want to add anything in closing.
Well, I just want to add my thanks to all who made that conference possible and function smoothly, in fact, against the many hurdles of the platform. So thanks to all, and join us in later events.
Yeah, so likewise, I'd like to add my thanks also to the teams, both behind the scenes, in the scenes. We've met some of them helping out, but there are others behind the scenes helping. As Ramona said, we aren't many people actually, so we're talking about half a dozen people who have helped put this large event together and keep it running over the last 10 days. So thanks to all of them. We'd be giving them flowers now if we could, so have some virtual flowers to appreciate our thanks. And we look forward to seeing you all at our next respective events and other events we might do together in the future.
Yes.
Oh, yes, reminder, post-conference workshop on Wikipedia. Sorry, I just go.
Yes.
There is one more event this afternoon from the Campbell Wikipedia project. We had a session yesterday. It was great. Workshop this afternoon. Sorry, Francesco.
No, I just want to say, just thanks to everyone, really. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure, and stay in touch and keep in touch with us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.